Welcome to the Sonoma County Winegrape Commission's Winegrape Chronicles. In this monthly series, we'll follow several Sonoma County growers and winemakers through a typical winemaking season, giving you a glimpse into the process behind making some of the world's finest wines.
Hi, my name's Steve Reeder. I'm the winemaker for Simi Winery. Simi Winery is a historic winery in the Alexander Valley. We've been here since 1876. We grow and purchase some of the finest grapes throughout Sonoma County, and we're standing in one of the finest Cabernet vineyards right now. I'd like to introduce Bret Munselle.
Hey Steve, my name is Bret Munselle. I'm a fifth generation wine grape grower in the Alexander Valley. I work along with my father and my grandfather in these beautiful Cabernet fields that we have here. We also farm Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, Merlot, Zinfandel, several other varieties in small amounts. But it's good to see you, Steve.
Absolutely. Well, it's great being up here. It's the end of July, July 25th. We're in a really exciting part of the growing season, not because there's a lot of activity going on. In fact, most of the major physical activity other than harvest is done. Really what we're talking about is this is where it's all at. This is where the flavor development comes. This is what we call verasion.
For us, this is the last step before we harvest. We want to make sure that every detail is perfect. We've already gone through pruning, training, leafing, suckering. Now at this point is for us to step back, irrigate, watch our fields, watch the temperature, watch the sun, and encourage these vines to finish through verasion and get to harvest.
Okay, we were talking about how we're done with most of the physical work in the vineyard here.
Right.
A lot of labor's gone into the pruning, into the training, into the leafing, shoot positioning. Everything's looking good. You've been irrigating. The shoot tips are shutting down here. So what's happening now is the energy of the vine is going into maturing the fruit. And we're in this stage called verasion. Tell us what verasion is.
Well, at this time you'll start seeing the black grapes or the green grapes change to black. You'll start seeing sugar accumulation. This is the point where we start to get excited about harvests around the corner.
This is the point where I get real excited
We've
about it.
got, 5, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, somewhere in there before we'll be ready to start harvesting. Next step for us is irrigate, and we'll come through and do what we call a green drop. We'll come through and take off some bunches like this that are further behind to try to get a nice uniform harvest time, sugar accumulation.
Well,
ripeness.
and that's what I'm excited about too, is like you said, what we have is a very even, relatively rapid verasion. And when I'm looking at this from a winemaker standpoint, of course, I'm very concerned about the color and the color development. That transfers into the wine itself. But I also know great flavors and great structure, tannin structures are being developed right now. One of the things that happens in a year where maybe you get some weather fluctuations and verasion gets spread out is that maybe this berry is ripe at 24 bricks, but this berry might not be ripe at 21 bricks. And that makes a less quality wine than a bunch that has the berries pretty much all at the same ripeness. Now, a lot of times we used to measure ripeness by sugar, by taking a refractometer and measuring sugar. We still do that, but of course, as we were talking about earlier too, you like to see me out here tasting the fruit. We can walk and talk talk about what we're looking for, about the color certainly, but then in about 4 weeks, I'll be walking out here. We'll be looking for the stems to be browning up a little bit, the wood to be lignifying as it is here, turning woody brown instead of the green stemmy, and then we'll start tasting and watch those flavors and the tannins develop. I can't wait.
For us, we will be excited to start seeing Steve out here because we will take sugar tests. We'll do that probably starting in 4 to 5 weeks and start gathering some information on when we think harvest is going to be. But the final decision on when we're going to harvest is when the flavors reach the point that Steve's excited about and excited to get the fruit into the winery. So when we start getting 22, 23 bricks, we'll be on the phone with Steve trying to get him out here. Let's see what it looks like. When are we thinking? How much more? So yeah, it's an exciting time of year. This is what we wait for.
So here we are entering the barrel cellars of Simi Winery. We're located at the north end of Healdsburg, right on Healdsburg Avenue in this historic building. This building actually was finished in 1904. Been making wine for Simi since then. And here's the traditional old wood storage tanks that we used. In fact, this winery, for the longest time, that's all they had in it. And these actually are oak upright tanks. A lot of times they also use redwood. These happen to be oak. These were put in 70 years ago. So they're still functional. We still have wine in them.
Would our wine find these tanks?
Your wine would not see these tanks. Your wine is too fine for these tanks. Really, these are more about the look and the feel of the bygone days. But you know what? What we do at Simi is really more traditional, using the small 60-gallon oak barrels. So let's go ahead and take a look at those.
Sounds great.
So Bret, we were talking about the big oak upright tanks, but this is really what it's all about, the small French oak barrels here. This is a Vicard barrel. This happens to be the 06 cab right in front of us, so we've just recently topped it, you know, and your vineyard on the hillside there, we're really looking for a lot of great things out of it. At Simi, we make 2 Cabernets from the Alexander Valley, our Alexander Valley Cabernet, which is a really fruit-forward, nice, round, easy drinking red, and then our Reserve. And the Reserve is the big powerhouse, the depth of color, the structure, the flavor, and so forth. And generally, hillside fruit goes into that.
That's what you're hoping from
That's what we're hoping from. So let's see what we got here. This is just topped. It's topped full. Here we go. You know, every about 3 months we have to bring the barrels down and we top them, because oxygen is wine's worst enemy. And the barrels do breathe. You do get a little bit of ullage, they call it, or headspace. And so just about a half hour ago, we went through this lot and topped it up and made sure that the wine's protected. It's been in the barrel about 6 months, and if it hit Reserve, we're going to go for a full 24 months.
24 months in barrel?
In this barrel itself, absolutely.
And then how long in the bottle before it's...
For the Reserve cab, we go a year in the bottle. For the Alexander Valley cab, it's about 3 months. We're looking for the darkest lots, the blackest fruit, big, brooding fruit that'll last a long time. So,
is there anything that you'd like to see us do in the field to bring out that color?
Well, you're doing it. That's exactly what we were talking about out there, of course, that verasion. That, you know, 2006, this wine came from 2006, also a very even ripening vintage with really great maturity to it too. So if we can replicate that in 2007, we're going to have a wine with similar color aspects. The added benefit or aspect that you had mentioned is it's probably about 5 or 7 days. You'll go back, it'll be 90–95% verasion, and you may decide to clip a couple of those green clusters, that green dropping off, to help equal it all out. So this has been in the barrel for about 6 months. A little bit of the oak aspects coming out, but what I'm getting first is that raspberry, cherry,
heavy
sort of
fruit
bramberly fruit. Oh yeah. That's drinkable right now. It's not the style we're looking at, but
what will the next 12 months do to this?
Well, certainly we're going to get, this happens to be a new oak barrel, so we're going to get a lot more of the roasty, toasty, vanilla kind of aspect to it. But we'll also get, well, we haven't tasted the wine yet, we'll also get a lot of a movement of the tannins from the front of the mouth to the back of the mouth, more chewy, silky, soft tannins. Because at Simi Winery, we don't fine any of the red wines. Fining is where you add an agent, egg whites or gelatin, to try to take out a little bit of harshness of bitterness. In my mind, if I've gone 2 years aging it in the barrel and at the very end I have to add something that to fix something, then I haven't done my job up to that point. So we do a lot of activities, this barrel to tank racking and then back to barrel. It helps drive the tannins from the front of the mouth to the back of the mouth. Well, let's see what we've got here.
Will you do that multiple times? Rack back and forth?
Yes, in fact, this wine has already been racked 3 times since it was fermented back in September, October. This last time here, we just topped it. We didn't pull it out of the barrels. We just brought it down, took one of the barrels, topped all the rest of it. Because 2006 had such great maturity in the texture in the mouth that we don't have to work so hard to manage those tannins. They manage themselves out in the vineyard. And like they say, great wines start in the vineyard, without a doubt. Well, here's to a great 2006 harvest in the barrel and to a great 2007 vintage in the Alexander Valley of Sonoma County. Cheers.